Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Happy Friday. Oh, we halfway there. Oh, oh my gosh, no, we're not halfway there. We are here. We are finally here, you guys. Today was the last day. Let's get started. Wait. First, I want to say something before I get started. Maybe it will help someone out there. So there's a reason I was able to cover this Diddy trial without being biased. The truth is, I did not like Diddy. At one point, I was close to hating him, even though I don't have any hate in my heart. I don't hate anyone, but that's how much I disliked him. If you go back and watch the videos I made when Cassie first filed her lawsuit, you can clearly hear the disgust in my voice. But something happened that changed everything for me. A few days after Diddy was arrested, news came out that he was on, shoe side watch, shoe side, yeah. I remember a video popped up on my timeline. I didn't even click on it, but just seeing the thumbnail that they use of Diddy and the title hit me hard. It triggered something in me. Like, I've always had a soft spot for people going through stuff like that, mental or emotional pain. I got so emotional, I started crying uncontrollably. In that moment, something told me to pray. So I got on my knees, tears still falling. And I started praying. I was praying. The more I prayed, the harder I cried. I remember saying, God, let him be all right. Let him repent. Hold him accountable for everything he's done. Help him see himself and his actions clearly. Yeah, I was just like crying. It was intense. There is something powerful about crying while you pray. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. It is odd, but it's the truth. I've noticed that some of my most powerful answered prayers came through tears. Like when I was crying and, God knows our hearts. He knows when we are being real. So after that moment, something shifted. I was able to talk about Diddy in my videos without all the disgust in my tone. That's why I could report on this trial without bias. I laugh and make jokes, sometimes when it's funny. It felt so much better that way. So, with all that said, let's get into Diddy's defense team's closing arguments because it was insane. So first thing first, when Diddy walked into the courtroom this morning, he blew kisses toward his family. All 6 of his adult children, his 3 sons, and his 3 daughters were there, sitting in the second row right behind him. His mother and sister were also present. Fahim Mohammed, Diddy's head of security, who prosecutors claim is involved in the conspiracy, was sitting with Diddy's family as well. The defense closing argument was delayed briefly while the court waited for a juror who was running late due to transit issues. Once the juror arrived, things got started. Diddy's defense attorney, Mark Agnifilo, began his closing by saying this case has felt like a tale of 2 trials. There's a trial as told by the witnesses, the text messages, and the videos. The second trial is the trial as told by the mouths of the prosecutors. That, I submit to you, is the false trial. That is an exaggerated trial. That is not the real trial. He told the jury that the real evidence in this case points to a certain lifestyle. You want to call it swingers. He asked, whatever you want to call it, that's what it is. That's what the evidence shows. Agnifilo went on to say, let's talk for a second about what the evidence shows about Sean Combs. Sean Combs has become something that is very, very hard to be. Very hard to be. He is a self-made, successful black entrepreneur. He praised Diddy's accomplishments, saying he built wonderful, sophisticated, real businesses that have stood the rest of time. He reminded the jury of testimony from some of Diddy's former employees. Did they always like him? No way. Let's not even go there. But they loved him. They did not want to leave him. Agnifilo also said Diddy embraced diversity long before it became a popular or required standard in business. He was doing this in 1993 as a 24-year-old by himself. He told a jury, referring to DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. As for the racketeering accusations, Agnifilo pushed back hard. He said no witnesses said they were part of a racketeering conspiracy or worked in the enterprise. You did not hear that from the evidence. You didn't hear that from a witness. He also brought up Diddy's family again, saying 6 of Sean Combs' 7 kids are here today. His mother is here. The jury should know about his character. The man takes care of people. He used Diddy's relationship with Jane Doe as an example. Agnifilo said, Combs paid for her home where she takes care of her child. I hope she's having a nice day. But where she's doing it? In a house he's paying for. Oh my goodness. Mark Agnifilo used sarcasm while talking about the 2024 Homeland Security raids on Diddy's homes in Los Angeles and Miami Beach. Boxes of Astroglide taking off the streets. Woo! I feel better already, he said. Artificial lubricant, not for me. The streets of America are safe from the Astroglide. He kept going. And they got the baby oil. And they found the personal use drugs. They did it. It's all worth it. Thank goodness for the special response team. They found the Astroglide. They found the baby oil. They found like 5 Valium pills. Way to go, fellas. Then Agnifilo argued that none of Diddy's alleged victims went to law enforcement. They do call somebody, though. They call civil plaintiffs lawyers. That's who they call. This isn't about a crime. This is about money. He specifically brought up CASSIE, saying Cassie Ventura sued Sean Combs for $30 million because Sean Combs has $30 million. This very investigation came out of that civil case. No $30 million, no lawsuit. No $30 million, no lawsuit, no criminal case. That's why we are here. We are here because of money. Agnifilo addressed the abuse allegations head on. We own the domestic violence, he said more than once. He told the jury the defense did not try to deny or argue with Cassie or Jane Doe when they testified about abuse. I don't think we asked her a single question to challenge anything she said about being hit, being kicked, being dragged, Agnifilo said about Cassie. He said the real issue between Diddy and Cassie was domestic violence and even quoted Cassie's own words. She was very precise and very clear about what the issue was for her. The issue for her, who was there, domestic violence is the issue. When she says domestic violence is the issue, I'm asking you to believe her, he said. Agnifilo also reminded the jury that Cassie filed a $30 million lawsuit against Diddy in November 2023 and that it was settled the very next day. If you had to pick a winner in this whole thing, it's hard not to pick Cassie, he said, pointing out that Diddy is now in jail awaiting trial while Cassie received a reported $20 million settlement. According to him, this was not about a criminal conspiracy. Agnifilo said it's a real relationship and they were in love. Oh my gosh. Cassie is no joke, and that's why he loved her. She matched him. She was like him. He even described their relationship as a great modern love story. You hear this? Telling the jury that their old text messages were so emotional you could cry. Yeah, right. He told the jury that Cassie eventually made a grown up choice to walk away in 2018. She was always free to leave. She chose to stay because she was in love with him. I don't believe that either. None of these people were in love with each other. Agnifilo also brought up their sex life. He said she's a woman who actually likes sex. Good for her. She's beautiful. She should. She's intense. She's unafraid. They were their best selves when it came to sex. What? They fought when it came to other women. He said the jury should pay attention to what's missing from the evidence. You won't find one where she's like, I didn't like that sex. I'm not attracted to you. I don't like our sex life. It's just not for me. Agnifilo said Cassie and Diddy matched up when it comes to sex. I guess you could call them swingers. I guess you could call it a lifestyle. Agnifilo even brought up rapper Kid Cudi, saying he confirmed that Cassie played him while she was still with Diddy. She played him good too. She played them both. He pushed back on the prosecution's claim that Cassie was afraid of Diddy. She lied to him for a long time, over and over and over, as she had another relationship with another singer, songwriter under his nose. She's not afraid of him, he said. He called her a gangster, pointing to the burner phone she used to keep in contact with Kid Cudi, saying she was trying to pull off lying to both men and juggle both relationships without getting caught. Not a gangster because of a burner phone. Oh my gosh. Mark Agnifilo then turned to the 2004 kidnapping allegation made by Capricorn Clark. She claimed that after some of Diddy's jewelry went missing, she was kidnapped and held for 5 days while being forced to take lie detector tests. Agnifilo told the jury Capricorn Clark is a little out there. He reminded them that Capricorn testified she wanted her old life back. The world Sean Combs created and is at the center of. That's the life she wants back. She said on the stand. Capricorn claimed she couldn't get work in the entertainment industry after leaving Diddy, but she also admitted to reaching out to him in the years afterward, trying to work with him again. Agnifilo told the jury Capricorn had a crush on Diddy and wanted their friendship to become romantic. Remember when she texted him saying, I've always had a crush on you? Yeah. He also mocked her story about the lie detector test. Capricorn had testified that a large man, 5 times her width, threatened to throw her into the East River if she did not pass the test. Agnifilo pushed back hard against prosecutors for using this story as part of their racketeering conspiracy charge. He pointed out that every day after the test, Diddy's security would drive Capricorn home. You are about as kidnapped as she was kidnapped, he told the jury, comparing her experience to their own. Long days in court followed by going home. My gosh. It is unsettling. That's the whole reason investigators use it. It's unsettling. Agnifilo said about the polygraph test. I have no doubt she was unsettled, but she was not kidnapped. He also reminded the jury what Diddy was doing at the time. Agnifilo said he's starring on Broadway. He is involved in the middle of a very significant voter drive campaign called Vote or Die. He is running all these companies. Then, with sarcasm, he added, "Do you think he's waiting on the edge of his seat? How's that lie detector test coming back? I can't wait to see if she passes." He couldn't care less. He had nothing to do with it. Mark Agnifilo addressed another kidnapping claim made by Capricorn. Capricorn claimed that in December 2011, Diddy showed up at her home with a gun and forced her to go with him to rapper Kid Cudi's house. Agnifilo mocked the idea that Diddy needed a weapon. He said she was probably so honored that Combs finally came to her house for the first time. If he asked her to take a trip to the moon, she would go. And he knows that. He doesn't need a gun. He pointed out that when Capricorn called Kid Cudi that day, she never mentioned a gun. Had Capricorn said gun, Kid Cudi would have remembered gun, Agnifilo said. You're not gonna forget gun. Gun is one of the fear words in our language. He added that Kid Cudi did not mention any gun to the police officer who responded to the situation, and that the officer filed it as just a trespass. Agnifilo told the jury that Capricorn had to make up the gun part to avoid looking like she willingly helped Diddy. She doesn't want to give the impression that she's like part of this, he said. Agnifilo did not deny that Diddy went to Kid Cudi's house that day. He even admitted that the responding officer caught the license plate on an Escalade connected to Diddy's company. But he said the whole event shows that Diddy is a fighter, not someone who would do something sneaky or cowardly like planting a car bomb. Agnifilo said he's gonna fight him. He's not gonna blow up his car. Blowing up the car of rapper Kid Cudi would have been a coward's way out. Agnifilo also criticized the arson investigation itself. He said it was a terrible investigation and that the lead investigator could not even explain what happened to fingerprints collected from the scene. He also pointed out that the partial DNA found on the evidence did not even match Diddy. It was consistent with a female. Mark Agnifilo was pacing back and forth in front of the jury box during his closing argument. He moved away from the microphone often, making it hard to hear him at times. Meanwhile, Diddy looked nervous at the defense table. He was tapping his foot, shaking his legs, and fidgeting with his hands. His face looked blank and serious, and at one point, he passed a note to his lawyers. Prosecutor Maureen Cormier appeared visibly annoyed. She rolled her eyes several times and had a smirk on her face during Agnifilo's argument. Oh my gosh. On Diddy's legal team, attorney Xavier Donaldson had his head in his hand at one point, looking frustrated or tired. Jeez. Agnifilo addressed what happened at the Intercontinental Hotel in 2016 when Diddy assaulted Cassie. He said Diddy offering money to hotel staff after the incident wasn't a bribe. It was an attempt to avoid bad publicity. That's not a bribe under the law, Agnifilo said, arguing that there was no police investigation at the time. The police were nowhere near the situation, he said, adding that Cassie did not want police involved. Agnifilo said police only got involved hours later when Diddy showed up at her apartment and was banging on the door. He's calling her and she is freezing him out, as she should, Agnifilo said. He's just trying to get her attention. But the prosecutors presented different evidence. Eddie Garcia, aka Eddie, my angel. You my darling angel. A security officer at the hotel testified that Diddy gave him $100,000 in cash to get the surveillance video of the assault. Another hotel security official, Israel Flores, testified that Diddy offered him a stack of cash after the altercation, what they saw as an attempted bribe. So, before the break, Diddy's prosecutor, Maureen Cormier, asked the judge to step in and correct some things the defense lawyer, Mark Agnifilo, said during his closing argument. She pointed out three problems. One, Agnifilo told the jury to think about why prosecutors chose certain charges in Diddy's racketeering case. Two, he claimed the hotel video only showed a minor assault. Three, he wrongly said Diddy was charged with crimes like arson and kidnapping, even though those are just parts, predicates of the racketeering charge, not separate charges. The judge agreed some of those statements were grossly improper, especially the part about questioning the prosecutor's charging decisions. When the jury came back, the judge gave a warning. He told them to ignore any suggestions about how or why prosecutors made charging decisions. He also reminded the jury that only he will explain the law, not the defense. Then, Mark Agnifilo continued his closing argument. He challenged the testimony of Mia, Diddy's former assistant, who accused him of sexual assault. He told the jury that Mia was acting on the witness stand and not being her true self. He pointed to a birthday video the jury saw of Mia, where she appeared upbeat and bubbly. That's the real Mia, Agnifilo said. He claimed her story about being sexually assaulted by Diddy was not true. This was not unwanted sexual contact, he told the jury. It was consensual. Agnifilo pointed to a text message Diddy sent her threatening to tell Cassie about what happened between them. Cassie doesn't know about it, and Mia doesn't want Cassie to know about it, Agnifilo said. He asked the jury to think logically. Why would Diddy threaten to tell Cassie about something he wrongfully did to Mia? He argued that if it were really assault, Diddy wouldn't use it as leverage. Agnifilo also showed the jury several things to prove Mia had positive feelings toward Diddy at the time. One, social media post where Mia praised Diddy. Two, a scrapbook she made for his 45th birthday, which he called an act of love. Three, a group photo Mia posted of Diddy's employees, including his chief of staff, Christina Coram, and members of his security team. Think of a word or a phrase that comes to mind. Joy, family, home, belonging. Agnifilo asked. Racketeering enterprise. This is your racketeering enterprise, folks? He reminded the jury that Mia worked for Diddy from 2009 to 2017. Agnifilo pushed back on the drug-related accusations against Diddy. Prosecutors have claimed that Diddy and his alleged criminal enterprise conspired to distribute or possess drugs with the intent to sell them. There's no evidence to support that, Agnifilo said. He admitted that Diddy has a drug problem, saying he obviously has a drug problem. He also admitted that some of Diddy's assistants helped get him drugs. But he insisted Diddy's businesses were not built around drugs. He said, the purpose of these businesses and enterprise has nothing to do with getting him drugs. These are things that he did with his girlfriend. They did them together. There's no indication that he's selling it to Cassie or Jane or somehow move the drugs or distribute the drugs. Agnifilo told the jury that Diddy's sex life with Cassie was not sex trafficking. It's his girlfriend, Agnifilo said. I suppose you could sex traffic your girlfriend if you sell her into prostitution. He added, but said there was no proof that Diddy made any money from the freak-offs. Agnifilo said they are swingers. They are avowedly swingers. This is their lifestyle. He argued that Cassie wanted to take part in the freak-offs and said the evidence shows she chose to be involved. Agnifilo gave the jury a hypothetical if one partner likes a certain sex act and the other doesn't, but does it anyway to make the first partner happy. Do you still not want to do it? He asked. Where does that land on the I want to do it, I don't want to do it spectrum? He repeated that this was Cassie's choice. She is ready to go, and God bless her. She is. He said she is a beautiful, sexy woman. Oh my gosh, I feel like when they do that, when they compliment these women like that, it's like very strategic. It's the way to kind of like soften the blows that they are causing. So anyway, she is ready to go, and God bless her. She is, he said. She is a beautiful, sexy woman, and that's what she deserves to be if that's what she wants to be. And that's what she wants to be. Agnifilo also criticized the government for claiming in their closing argument that not all of the freak-offs were consensual. How's he supposed to know? Agnifilo asked, suggesting Diddy had no way of knowing Cassie did not want to take part. He then read aloud some sexually explicit messages Cassie had sent to Diddy about the freak-offs. Yeah, I've read those already in other videos. There was nothing that would say to him that this was against her will, Agnifilo said. Agnifilo told the jury that before the 2016 hotel assault, Diddy and Cassie were planning a freak-off. He showed only parts of the video, calling the violent moments terrible, and argued Diddy was just trying to get a phone. He said Cassie returned to the room later, showing it was not a scary place. He also pointed to texts after the incident saying Diddy had taken bad drugs that day, which could explain his behavior. He said, you are walking around in the middle of the day in a hotel, in a towel, and socks. So what gives? Mark Agnifilo told the jury that Diddy did not rape Cassie despite her claims. I can't let you think there was a rape, Agnifilo said, pointing out that Diddy isn't even charged with rape, so the jury doesn't need to consider it legally. He noted that in her 2023 civil lawsuit and in interviews with federal investigators, Cassie said the rape happened in September 2018. But at the trial, she changed the timeline and said it happened in August 2018. Agnifilo said the reason she changed the date is because after being with Diddy in September, she sent him a text saying, I had a lot of fun with you. Thanks for the night. I told myself I did not want anything to happen, and I'm not tripping on it. I know you aren't either. Agnifilo suggested the change was to cover for herself after her now husband, who she was dating at the time, FaceTimed her in the middle of the night while she was with Diddy. Agnifilo said she lies and says that she was raped. He also brought up another message Diddy sent Cassie, where Diddy said, I know I look bad to you. I could tell I did not turn you on yesterday. I fell off, but I'm about to get my ish together. While the government says this message shows guilt, Agnifilo argued it is not about rape. He also reminded the jury that Cassie admitted to having consensual sex with Diddy in October 2018 after the alleged rape. Agnifilo said if there was really a rape, she would not have gone back and had consensual sex. So, no rape. Mark Agnifilo pointed to Cassie's own words when she was asked what kind of pain Diddy caused her. She said, I think bigger, more than anything, it was his own personal shame and having to carry the things that were shameful to him. Agnifilo told the jury, in a sex trafficking case, the most painful thing for her was to unburden him of his shame and carry around his shame. That was that answer. He added, she could have answered that question any one of a million ways, but chose something deeply emotional. Agnifilo argued that her response showed she truly loved Diddy. The reason it's beautiful is the only person who could answer a question that way is a person who's truly, truly in love with the other person. And all you need to know is that answer, he said. Agnifilo said another accuser, Jane, gave a similar answer, describing her time with Diddy in hotel rooms as something private and meaningful. She was basically saying, listen, I am going to a very vulnerable, special place for you, and I'm doing it because I love you, Agnifilo said. He argued that while Jane may have wanted to feel special in return, that did not make it a crime. That's a lot of things, but that's not sex trafficking, he said. So after Diddy's defense team gave the first part of their closing argument, he was seen smiling and interacting with his lawyers and family. They said at times he was smiling, he was interacting, he was talking to his counsel, he was almost pantomiming, meaning exaggerated, imitating his counsel while he was speaking. Diddy's daughters, who were seated behind him, passed him a note through his lawyers and smiled at him with a fist bump. They kind of gave a fist bump and smiled at their father in an encouraging way. At one point, one of his twin daughters was seen rubbing Janice's back while Diddy's attorney, Mark Agnifilo, spoke about a sensitive part of the case. Janice had her head down and was almost curled over. A very human moment indeed, they said. While the jury was present, Diddy was also reacted during Agnifilo's argument about Kid Cudi's car being set on fire. Agnifilo said Diddy is the kind of person who would confront Kid Cudi face to face instead of setting a car on fire. To that, Diddy nodded profusely. Agnifilo told the jury that Diddy may have threatened to release videos of the freak-offs, but he never actually would have done it. There are drug-fueled sex performances, Agnifilo said, but the videos themselves show something different. He described the footage as showing a beautiful evening, saying, the music's nice, Usher, the mood seems friendly and easygoing, and everyone is smiling, they are laughing, forget the sex part. Cassie eating watermelon. There's a real genuine intimacy and just nice quality to these evenings, he added, noting that the physical contact in the videos was not aggressive. Agnifilo also pointed to two men who testified they were involved in freak-offs with Cassie. He said they both thought Cassie was into that. He argued that what Diddy did was not unusual. I don't think, by any stretch of the imagination, this is the only man in America making homemade porn. Mark Agnifilo told the jury that Jane, who dated Diddy from 2021 to 2024 and testified under a fake name, was motivated by money, luxury, and status, not victimization. She loved Combs, Agnifilo said, but she was focused on what I am getting out of it that the world can see, referencing Jane's social media posts showing off trips and gifts. He also repeated the same argument he made about Cassie. The government said they are not saying every single hotel night was sex trafficking. Well, then which ones were? And how is Sean Combs supposed to know the difference? Agnifilo told the jury that Jane was used to being around celebrities, reminding them about who her child's father is and the rapper she was with in Las Vegas in January 2024. They said it's Kanye West. So he said she is comfortable being in that sort of strata, meaning level. That's just how she moves. Didn't I tell you guys that in one of my videos? He also said Diddy took care of Jane and her child because the child's real father dropped the ball. Oh my God. Oh my gosh. Guess who's giving her more? The one who has no responsibility for that child at all. He's picking up the ball for someone who seems to have dropped the ball for his own kid. Ooh, the person he is talking about, the child father, he's very emotional as usual. He responded on his Instagram page. Agnifilo said Jane had a terrible lawyer because she's only getting $5,000 per month in child support. He said Diddy paying Jane's rent was a gesture of niceness, not sex trafficking. He noted Diddy is still paying her rent, even though she testified against him. He said they made a deal and he kept it. Good for him. Mark Agnifilo addressed the June 18, 2024 fight between Diddy and Jane, who claims Diddy punched, kicked, and dragged her. Agnifilo called the incident really inexplicable and said there was no history of violence between them. She doesn't really give an explanation for doing this, he said, claiming Jane slammed Diddy's head into a counter. He pointed to a photo Jane took of Diddy just before the fight, asking, half an hour later, you're just waging holy war on the guy, slamming someone's face? It just doesn't get much more aggressive than that. Agnifilo also said Jane kept calling Diddy a pedo, even though the woman he was seeing was an adult, asking, is she looking to get a rise out of him? Mark Agnifilo suggested that Jane may have been trying to set Diddy up because she knew about the federal investigation going on in June 2024. He said Jane might have started the fight with Diddy on purpose and then called another male entertainer over to help create a story. Mark Agnifilo mocked the government for only calling two men who had sex with Cassie while Diddy watched and none who allegedly had sex with Jane. Christy Slavic yesterday showed the jury photos of 27 men prosecutors said paid to have sex with Cassie and Jane between 2009 and 2024. He pointed out both men said they were not prostitutes and did not cross state lines, though they admitted getting money from Diddy and Cassie afterward. Agnifilo told the jury that the freak-off videos were just homemade PORN. He said, in every PORN movie, I'm assuming the actors get paid to have sex. How is that not prostitution? I don't know. And you don't either. Mark Agnifilo told the jury that prosecutors showed guns from Diddy's home just to scare them. He said they brought out a big, nasty, scary gun to show you. For what purpose? To make you think he's a bad person who has big, scary guns. He pointed out that the Homeland Security agent who testified, Andre Lemond, could not even say if the guns were in a safe. And if they are gonna do that, don't you think they have an obligation to put a witness on the stand to tell you where they were? At what point do you stop trusting the government? Agnifilo asked. Mark Agnifilo ended his closing argument by asking the jury to have the courage to find Sean Diddy Combs not guilty. You should feel bold. You should feel the courage that you will need to call this as you see it, he said. And I am asking you to summon that courage and to do what needs to be done. He is not a racketeer. He is none of these things. He is innocent. He sits there innocent. Agnifilo then pointed to Diddy and told the jury, return him to his family who have been waiting for him. He also claimed the government only went after Diddy after Cassie's lawsuit came out in November 2023 and said they rushed to charge him without real evidence. Then, during a break before the prosecutor's rebuttal, the judge said Agnifilo made an appropriate comment by suggesting the government targeted Diddy. The judge said he will tell the jury that it's not their job to consider why the government chose to bring the case. Diddy hugged Mark Agnifilo, placing his head on Agnifilo's shoulder momentarily after he wrapped up his closing argument. So the prosecution will have the last word, making a rebuttal to the defense team's closing argument. Then prosecutor Maureen Cormier began her rebuttal by telling the jury that Diddy's defense team spent a whole lot of energy trying to blame his victims and the U.S. government for his lies, his threats, and his inexcusable behavior. She said they kept tossing up excuse after excuse. Make no mistake, this trial was about how in Sean Combs' world, no was never an option. She told the jury Diddy is trying to wiggle out of federal sex trafficking charges by claiming he never paid anyone for sex, but she said that's not true. Cormier said he flew escorts across the country, watched them have sex while he masturbated, and then he handed them cash. She told the jury that trying to say the flights, the sex, and the payments were not connected doesn't even pass the laugh test. Common sense alone shows you that when the defendant flew those escorts out, it was not for their scintillating conversation. It was for sex, she said. His money is for sex, the sexual performance, not for time. That's prostitution. Even if some of the men might have done it without the money, having sex with the masked master celebrity. When they got cash at the end of the night, they were getting paid for sex. She also told the jury it doesn't matter what the escorts thought, it matters what Diddy knew and intended. She said Diddy knew it was illegal because he warned Cassie to make sure the escorts were not undercover cops. The jury also saw Diddy text an escort asking, "Are you a cop?" Maureen Cormier pushed back hard against Diddy's defense, telling the jury that even if Diddy's businesses were legal, they were still used to support illegal activity. An enterprise could have lawful and unlawful purposes, Cormier said. They used some of the money to further the enterprise. She said Diddy's former chief of staff, Christina Koren, and his ex-head of security, D-Rock, were nice to Cassie just to help Diddy control her. They played both sides. Cormier also challenged Agnifilo's claim that Diddy did not use guns. It makes total sense that when he's going to kill another man, he's bringing a gun. When he's beating a woman half his size, he doesn't need a gun, she said, referring to Diddy allegedly threatening Kid Cudi. She reminded the jury that Cassie testified Diddy warned her that Kid Cudi's car would blow up. Then it did. Cormier said he was going to blow up the car, and lo and behold, it blew up, Cormier said. On Diddy's phone calls with Jane after Cassie's lawsuit came out, Cormier said he clearly was not worried about civil lawsuits. Plaintiffs' lawyers don't get to tap phones. Who tap phones? The feds. What he's doing on those calls is tampering with a witness, she said. Cormier said Diddy did not just run a tight circle, he used the circle to do his dirty work. This is a guy who can't get himself his own water bottle or plug in his own phone charger, she said. He delegated and his inner circle handled the dirty work for him. She also pushed back on the defense's claim that Cassie and Jane enjoyed the freak-offs and hotel sex acts. Cormier described it as abuse. Being in a dark hotel room, awake for days, covered in oil, wearing 8-inch heels, often with a UTI, performing oral sex for hours, having unprotected sex with stranger after stranger, a rotation of men for days. As for Cassie's credibility, Cormier reminded the jury that she already got $30 million settlement from Diddy and the Intercontinental Hotel. Why would she risk it all by perjuring herself at a federal trial? Cormier asked. She already got paid. She already had the media on her side. Cormier pushed back on Diddy's defense in her rebuttal, telling the jury there's no excuse for his actions and no reason to blame the victims. She rejected the idea that Mia was acting on the stand. No one's handing out Oscars or Tonys. She was here to tell you what happened. Cormier also dismissed the claim that jealousy was behind Jane's testimony. Jealousy is not a defense to sex trafficking, she said, explaining that Jane arranged escorts for hotel nights so she could at least choose who she had sex with. She said the defense was trying to separate the abuse from the sex, but being a domestic abuser is not a defense to sex trafficking. If part of the abuse is making your partner participate in a commercial sex act, you are guilty. Cormier also called out Diddy's lawyer for painting the freak offs as romantic or harmless. These are not beautiful things. They were set up for one man's pleasure. She said Diddy used money and gifts to trap both Cassie and Jane in toxic relationships. Those supposed benefits, the homes, the money, kept them trapped, she said. He was more than willing to spend that to trap Cassie and Jane. Cormier responded to claims that Jane started the June 2024 fight with Diddy by making it clear nothing Jane did that night justifies the defendant's actions. She told the jury Diddy literally beat her into submission, then punished her further. Sean Combs won that fight, and he made Jane pay by performing with Anton. Maureen Cormier ended her rebuttal by saying Diddy never thought his victims would speak out or that others would back them up. For 20 years, the defendant got away with his crimes. That ends in this courtroom. The defendant is not a god. He is a person. It is time to hold him accountable. Find him guilty, she said. Then, after Cormier finished, the judge dismissed the jury for the weekend. He said jury instructions will be given Monday at 9 a.m. so deliberations can begin. So yeah, today was crazy, right? The back and forth, they all taking shots, and Mark Agnifilo, oh man, oh my gosh, it's crazy. It's like one side is over exaggerating, and then the other side is downplaying everything. You see? So it's a mess. So let me know what you think in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on that notification so you don't miss any new updates. And I will see you on the next one. Peace.